Hey everybody, good morning. Welcome to the Ankerstar Wealth, a morning show. Mike and Steve here. We have 3 topics for you today. Okay, maybe it's a bonus day because it's going to be more like 5, even though we're only going to cover a couple of them quickly. Anyhow, let's talk about who's repping today. Okay, yep, we got some Bitcoin nonsense on our bodies here today. Bitcoin's up big. We'll talk about that. The move yesterday. Ethereum, the little brother, little sister. I don't know. You call it what you want. Also up big on a different thesis. We'll talk about that briefly, and then I will talk about some analyst calls are out this morning that I find hilarious. You know Tesla's in there. You know Apple's in there. Dell's in there. Rubrik, which we've started talking about, is in there. We'll go through those. Then I'm going to transition to Mike, where he's going to talk about Palo Alto. Yes, they had earnings last night. Earnings looked good, but yep, there's some devils in the details. Mike's going to peel that back just a little bit on why the stock got hit off of earnings. And yes, of course, that affects our other cybersecurity stocks because they all follow, Mama Palo Alto, if you will. Same thing we'll probably see Wednesday with NVIDIA, is whether they're up or down. We're going to see a lot of followers there. And then lastly, I don't know if you guys remember this. Is about 4 years ago. We had this, pandemic thing where we were all going to die. And I would go to my mailbox every day and get some money. It was like interesting, right? I had to mask up to go to the mailbox, right? Drive around in my car with my mask on, all that stuff, those good days. If you guys remember that at all, you probably do. There were some significant stocks that moved coming out of COVID. So Mike has a special edition COVID stocks feature that he's going to close with. So you definitely want to stick around for that. Before you do, this is an educational presentation. You have to do your own due diligence for acting upon anything you hear this morning. More information is available on AnkerstarWealth.com. The opinions expressed are mine and Mike alone. Let's talk Bitcoin since we're repping this morning, and it's weird because, I don't know, maybe it's this like-mindedness, or we're both equally weird because we repped before we even mentioned it in our chat that we were repping Bitcoin this morning. So, maybe a little giddy yesterday. So here's a 1-year chart. This is BITB. This is the one that we are in. I like that, you can show the 5-day if you want and go, hey, okay, this is why we're giddy, right? It's kind of been a steady move higher. And then yesterday was a nice, if you take pre, during, and post market, it was like an 8% move. So, I mean, it's, significant move up. It's chilled out a little bit today. So where is it? Is it closing on new highs? Well, yeah, it's getting in the ballpark of new highs. So long-term thesis stands intact. True separation of money and state. Store of value, there's a piece of that. There's limited quantity. There's the, and then the Bitcoin ETFs are just gaining in popularity with like institutions or other folks that have had to do these lengthy diligence, undertakings to get it approved. Remember, these things seems like they've been around forever. Well, those are babies in the investing world, right? It was January 11th when they were born. It's just still kind of catching on. Obviously, we have a lot of hope that it moves higher. But speaking of hope, the one moving on hope is Ethereum. So switching over to that one, here's the 1-year chart in Ethereum. And you can tell that this move yesterday/today, pretty insane, down in the low 20s up to the low 30s. Yes, please, right? However, it's not one that I'll just talk personally. I don't buy the thesis. I mean, obviously the Ethereum has a use in the world, and we won't even go into it because I would slaughter it because I don't fully understand what it does. But my issue with it differs in Bitcoin is that it's not a limited supply. It can be manipulated. If I wanted manipulated currencies, I would just simply buy some of the fiat currencies we have around the world, including the US dollar. But when you look at this chart, why is it moving up? It's hoping that the Ethereum ETF gets approved. And I buy the thesis, right? So you saw what it did to Bitcoin. If Ethereum gets approved into an ETF, obviously that will open it up to several people who don't want to buy it through a wallet. Now you can buy it through your Schwab and or any other custodian, except for Vanguard. I still think they have us blocked from making money. Anyway, we don't care. We don't use them. But the theory would be a lot of money would flow into this. So personally, the date that everybody was shooting for is May 5th. How many days is that from now? Minus 2 weeks, right? It didn't happen. So the same thing with Bitcoin. It got kicked down the road. So people are thinking it is going to happen. I don't know. My thesis against it is that if you open it up to Ethereum, where, it's the gateway drug, right? Where do you close the door after that? Are we going to have a PooCoin ETF that Mike likes to talk about? No,
Dogecoin
ETF. Where does it stop? I don't know. So let's not open that door is my thought. So on to some analyst calls because these are fun. You know my favorite topic. So right off the top, Tesla reiterates Tesla's overweight. And I'm like, okay, I read these fools all the time that say we should be buying Tesla and we should be overweight in our portfolio. Why, you say? This is the single dumbest reason I think you would ever hold a company. Morgan Stanley made the case in a note to investors that Elon Musk needs Tesla more than ever before. What revenues, profits, projections? The CEO, I don't know, top 3 richest people, and I know it bounces around. You'd probably be the richest if you didn't have Tesla stock. But he needs the company, so that's a reason to buy the stock. I can't fathom what they're even talking about there. So I think that's the dumbest thing on his whole page. But and I do think he's distracted with, I don't know, goes to Mars and trying to go to Mars, trying to get computers to talk from your brain directly to computers. He's putting holes in the earth. I probably skipped 3 or 4 of his companies.
Twitter.
X now, right? Yeah, he bought that, took that private. He's also got the satellites, the thing that's out there, Starlink. He's got other things. I'm not sure he needs Tesla. Anyhow, but breaking news, it's a car company. So, all right, Caesars Entertainment and Penn. I think there's challenging in the casino space, and which is why we're not in it. Is the attraction of sports gaming and the proliferation of it has blown up in a good, in an increasing way, not blown up in a bad way. But yeah, it's going through the roof. And I think people find that a lot more entertaining than pulling the handle on a slot machine or saying, hit me, or wondering if they should split their 8s or their aces. I mean, it's just more entertaining. I think that's where the future is. We shall see if casinos pivot. I'm in Vegas on occasion. I'm about to send a child out there to play, not blackjack for a living, but volleyball. Hope she doesn't switch to professional blackjack. Anyway, go out there and we'll see if the casinos they've modified, you see casinos modify their floor space based on profitability, right? So it'll be interesting to see. The Link did that, went to a sports lead, and that was like 4 or 5 years ago, where it's a sports first kind of thing. Bring out your fantasy football teams and have your draft out here, that sort of thing. So I wouldn't touch that. Toast, I like that. They say they're downgrading it to neutral from outperform because it's run up too much. I see it everywhere. We eat out a lot because we're kind of on the go sort of people. We have folks and investors are sending me like pictures of toast, right, when they go out to eat. I don't see a competitor. I'm sure there's got to be, but I just don't see one. It's everywhere. And if it's everywhere, just kind of like Apple was everywhere forever. So it's just like, I don't know. I think it's got far more to run. All right. Last one. I'll talk about 2 more. Disney upgrades neutral from sell. Disney, it's hard to lose money when you have like the magic mouse that can charge you $9 for a hot dog and $140 to get into the door. How you lose money in that situation, mind blown. So anyhow, if Disney ever figures out basic codes of business, the stock would be fantastic. I'm not ready to move in yet. Dell's killing it. They're here in Round Rock, so it's easy to be blinded by that. Have several clients as execs, all saying good things. But yeah, they are killing it out there. And then the last one, yep, there's Apple. Overweight, it. And then the last one, there it is, Rubric. This is something we're just starting to take a look at. We like what we see. Again, it's in cyber resilience field, so we'll take a better look at that over time, but you may start seeing that pop up. Really like it. Okay, that's what I've got. Now we're going to switch over to Mike, and he's going to start us off with some Palo Alto news from earnings.
Yes, Palo Alto. We mentioned it yesterday. Earnings coming out. They did meet their goals, their revenue, their earnings. However, there's concern they might start being more aggressive in offering price discounts, and then they lower their margin. We don't want to hear that. Stock was down about 6%, and then it also brought down CrowdStrike and SentinelOne, 2 of stocks which we do hold. It brought them down by like 1 or 2%. I think they've already rebounded this morning, but we'll be looking for their earnings to come out in the next couple of weeks. We do not want to get them into a price war. That's no fun. Nobody likes that. So anyways, except for the companies buying them. But hey, I saw some news and it said that Peloton was cratering today, or and I thought, wow, Peloton's cratering. I thought they already cratered.
There's more left to crater.
Exactly. So I thought I'd bring up this is their 5-day chart. So if you would have bought Peloton like 5 days ago at $4.25, you'd have lost about 25% of your money. But only 25% would be a good thing, because if you bought them during COVID, you'd have lost I don't even know how much. If you would have took that investment and put half of it in Bitcoin, you'd be retired at this point. But Peloton, it was a COVID darling. Steve, mentioned, the 26 people that worked out and still wanted to work out. They bought Peloton machines, shot the stock through the roof up, hit I think it peaked at 170. You can see it almost, I did some research because I was wondering if it ever entered the S&P 500. And there was a lot of talk of it entering the S&P 500, but it never did get in. So good, it didn't get in,
Right.
and it cratered down. Now it's at 329. Still the company, as far as if you look at their market cap, still just a little bit worth over $1 billion. So that means it went basically from, probably a $30 billion company down to, just a little bit over $1. I remember when it was trading around 100, and one of my managers had bought a Peloton, and I was talking, and they started some recalls. And since I had experience in recalls with General Motors, I was like, recalls for issues is a major problem, and it's continued down from there. So another one of the COVID companies, and Zoom. So who remembers using Zoom? We still use Zoom. So it kind of was the first to market, competing with Skype and all that. But as far as an investment, you could have bought this thing at $450 a share, and it's worth 64. So not quite as bad as Peloton. It only dropped 80 or 90% of its value, but still, at least it's still used today. It's amazing that Microsoft Teams has not taken this out, or Slack, because these are direct competitors. I actually had used Zoom prior to COVID just for umpires, and referees. I was like, this thing tick off like this? So, another reason why, as far as stocks. Now what's interesting with Zoom is it also, had a chance to get into the S&P 500, and it actually did. So I looked it up, and it got in, and then dropped. So anyways, and then the last one, Moderna. And hey, I wanted to show you like a 5-day graph of this thing here. Let me bring this up, because if you look at a 3-month graph, wow, hey, I like Moderna in the last 3 months or year to date. It looks really good. Like, hey, this thing's making some money. Well, not if you've been a long-term holder of it. It is down. It's down about 2/3. And so this was for immunizations, the mRNA that we all heard about. Hey, there's future use for this. Maybe it's not COVID. Maybe it's the next thing that comes down, and there will be a next thing. This one did join the S&P 500. So you can see, and this is the danger of just playing the S&P 500. This joined in July of 21. So if we look at this graph, July of 21 is right about here. It joined when it was trading almost at its high, and that's probably why it hit its high, is because it was approved for the S&P 500. It joins, it goes up a little more, and then this, if you're sitting in S&P 500, you lost 2/3 of the value on the way down. You did not get that value on the way up because it didn't join the S&P 500. And I just wanted to bring that up because that's the danger of these kinds of stocks. You're like, I'm sure when it was approved to join the S&P 500, if you were holding, you were like, yes, that's great, I want this company, but you're kind of buying it at the high side. So anyways, that's your danger, and thought bring that up. So back to you, Steve.
That's good stuff, and you're right. And there are opportunities to short. We didn't really short a whole lot in that period, but certainly if there's setups like that again, I think there will be kind of some clear short opportunities. I've heard the Peloton story, and it made me reflect, not chuckle, but made me reflect back to, things were bad. The stock was already on the way down. And then if you remember, there was the news article about it killing someone. So I pulled that up from CNBC in September 7th of 23. So a couple years, 3 years removed. A Peloton bike evidently fell on this gentleman and killed him instantly, severing his carotid artery. I do not know. I didn't pay enough attention in 8th grade biology to remember which one the carotid artery is. Do you know? Nope. All right. Readers, put it in the comments. All right. That's all I've got for you today. Try not to buy high when things are all the way up. That's the hopium we talked about. And then if it starts dropping and your products are killing people, that's another reason to not invest in it. So hope you guys enjoyed today's show. And we'll be back with you tomorrow. You have a good one. Bye.